Joining me today on the Capital Show, Ali Maisam Nazari, you are the head of foreign relations for the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan. There is many opposition for the current situation in Afghanistan, but your studies and your background influence your understanding of Afghanistan's situation and what Afghanistan means to the world in a global stage. So can you tell us about the on NRF and what is your role exactly?
Thank you for having me, Maria. When it comes to the NRF, the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan, which is the largest democratic force inside and outside of Afghanistan, challenging the Taliban terrorist groups and 21 other terrorist groups, regional and international terrorist groups present inside Afghanistan. The National Resistance Front of Afghanistan was formed on August 15th, 2021, when Kabul fell in the hands of the Taliban terrorists and other terrorists, and thousands of Afghanistan's armed forces, with many members of Afghanistan's bureaucracy, took refuge in northern Afghanistan in a valley called Panjshir Valley. And the son of the late Ahmad Shah Massoud, who was the leader of the first resistance against the Taliban, his name is Ahmad Massoud. He traveled from Kabul to Panjshir and declared the National Resistance Front for two purposes. One, to fight for a democratic, pluralistic Afghanistan where every single citizen will be treated equally, and two, to continue the global fight against terrorism, because it didn't end on August 2021 when President Biden withdrew all of US's forces.
How much was it at that time? How did you see the situation at that time? What did you feel about it?
Well, we felt disappointment, abandonment, but we knew it was coming after January 2021. I myself was very much on the forefront of the diplomatic efforts of the resistance, even before August 2021. And right now I manage all the diplomatic affairs of the resistance. So from January 2021 up to August 2021, I made many visits to Washington, D.C. And many people here in D.C. are witnesses of this. And I kept telling decision makers and policymakers that a catastrophe will happen if the withdrawal occurs based on the plans that we knew. And so we knew that the consequences and the implications would be such as those that we witnessed in August 2021. The only people who believed me, one of them, of course, is Colonel Mike Waltz, who was in Congress at that time. So the last time that I saw him before the collapse happened in Kabul was 3 weeks before the fall of Kabul. And when I told him that this will happen within weeks, he said, I believe you, this is going to happen. The others, especially those connected with the administration, they were basically in a delusion that a collapse wouldn't happen, that the government of Afghanistan would have survived without American presence.
So you think that you gained the trust and the recognition of the Trump administration, and what do you expect from it?
Well, we have high hopes when it comes to the new U.S. administration. We are hopeful, we are optimistic that with this new administration in the White House, there will be a better policy, a policy based on the realities on the ground in Afghanistan, a policy that takes the threats inside Afghanistan that are emanating in Afghanistan into consideration, that takes it seriously, and that the people of Afghanistan are favored, because the policy that the previous administration had, it favored terrorist groups, especially the Taliban terrorist group, which for 4 years, or 3.5 years, the previous administration, the Biden administration, normalized the Taliban and Al-Qaeda and the others, and basically sent aid. $40 million per week was sent by the Biden administration to the Taliban in the previous administration. Yes.
How that can happen?
Cash shipments on a weekly basis to the Taliban. And of course, when I say the Taliban, it means all the terrorist groups that are aligned with them, that have their protection, like Al-Qaeda and the others. And they were exploiting it. And the U.S. Inspector General himself wrote that many of the aid and assistance that was being delivered was funding jihadist madrasas throughout Afghanistan.
Today, Taliban are in power. They reshaped Afghanistan. How you can, as a resistance, infiltrate the system they build and regain power inside the country. Can you do that? Is it possible? Or it can't be done because of their influence, the regulations they implemented, and it's like a ipso facto to be in touch with this, especially that they are spreading reforms. I mean, they're talking about they are new version of Taliban. What do you think about that?
Well, of course, we are very much optimistic that personalities such as Colonel Mike Waltz, like Secretary Marco Rubio, Vice President J.D. Vance, and overall the President Trump, understands the problem in Afghanistan, and that whether we try to influence or not influence policymaking, they will be making the better choices and a better decision when it comes to the new administration's policy regarding Afghanistan, especially Colonel Waltz, since he served in Afghanistan so many times, he understands Afghanistan better than many people from Afghanistan. Yeah. Our interactions and engagements with him for the past 5 years has given us that confidence in him that even without us speaking with him directly, he will be making the right choices as the national security advisor.
Many countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia, they did a role in humanitarian aids. How do you approach, how do you think about the relationship now between this country? I know Qatar play a big role. I know Iran is trying to influence the country. Can you describe this complicated situation? Gulf countries, Iran, and Qatar especially.
So unfortunately, the situation in Afghanistan isn't going to stay in Afghanistan. You have 21 regional and global terror networks. They're recruiting radicals, extremists. They're preparing them in jihadist madrasas. They're basically brainwashing a new generation of youth in their jihadist ideology. And these individuals, whether it's these youth who are from the Middle East, from North Africa, from South Asia, Central Asia, they're not going to be staying in Afghanistan. And so in the years to come, if any regional country, whether it's Qatar, whether it's the UAE, whether it's Saudi Arabia, or anyone else, who waits and watches the situation in Afghanistan, will face the consequences.
But there is an hypothesis that Qatar is involved to support these groups. Is it correct?
So, of course, the UAE and Saudi Arabia have a better policy regarding this current situation in Afghanistan. Our message to the Qataris is the current approach hasn't worked for the past 5-6 years, especially in the past 10 years, since they've given the Taliban political space in Doha, and they expect the Taliban to act differently, and that this will cost them greatly in the future. One, the Taliban aren't the representatives of Afghanistan's people. They're a terrorist group, they're an extremist group. Basically, it's a stigma to Qatar's reputation for supporting a terrorist group inside Afghanistan.
Is Qatar acting by its own, or there is like some advice from the former administration to open the doors and keep the dialogue with these groups?
Well, of course, some U.S. administrations have been aligned when it comes to Qatar's approach to Afghanistan. It was during the Biden administration when the Taliban office was opened in Doha back in 2013. Yes, and then, of course, the Biden administration, they reinforced Qatar's approach to the Taliban, and Qatar was basically acting as an interlocutor between both. But we are hopeful that the current and the new administration here in Washington, D.C. will take a different approach when it comes to Qatar's engagement in Afghanistan. And we hope that Qatar will change its approach. Qatar should engage with the people of Afghanistan, with the true representatives of Afghanistan who want a democratic Afghanistan, a peaceful Afghanistan, and not only peaceful Afghanistan, but peace in the region and in the international community.
My question is about the humanitarian role of UAE. We saw they helped a lot in the evacuation, and they opened hospitals to receive all these the people they flew under oppression and under this stressful time. Can we say thank you to UAE for this thing? And what do you expect more? Do you have channels? Did you open channels with the leadership there?
So, of course, we would like to express our utmost gratitude to the UAE, to His Highness, of course, for all their support for Afghanistan's people, not only the past few years, but in the past 20-something years. During the Republican era in Afghanistan from 2001 to 2021, the UAE was a close partner to Afghanistan.
Fighting terrorism.
Yes, fighting terrorism, giving aid to Afghanistan's people, to Afghanistan's government. And so the UAE always had a proactive role and a very beneficial role in Afghanistan. And our message to the UAE leadership right now is for them to follow that path, and that the people of Afghanistan need their proactive role.
What does a stable, peaceful Afghanistan look like to you? And how do you plan to leverage international relationships, particularly with the U.S.?
A peaceful Afghanistan is Afghanistan with a democratic, pluralistic republic where every single citizen, regardless of their gender, their ethnic group, and their religion, are treated equally. Afghanistan is a diverse country. Afghanistan is made up of minorities. No one is a majority. No ethnic group is a majority. So we need an inclusive government based on democracy and pluralism in order to establish peace, not only inside Afghanistan, but peace with ourselves, peace with the region and the international community.
Last question, what the NRF look toward Israel? Do you believe that Afghanistan will have a peaceful agreement one day with Israel, like the same as the Abraham Accords?
So it's very difficult for us to express something right now. We believe that a legitimate government is needed in Afghanistan to adopt a policy regarding regional issues and global affairs. Of course, as I said, our position today is to establish a democratic government that aligns with the values of the international community, with other democratic governments, and to live in peace with ourselves and our greater region, and to prevent any threat against any human being and any country in the region that is malicious and is considered a terror.
Thank you so much, Ali Maisam Nazari, Head of Public Relations and Foreign Relations for the NRF. Shukran. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much.